All right, welcome back to Rad Dads, a dad podcast where I, Micah Sherman, interview some of the coolest dads that I know who have a big love for their families and an even bigger love for Jesus. Hey, episodes come out on the first Tuesday of every month, so stay tuned for those. And also don't forget to subscribe on YouTube at Rad Dads, and of course, anywhere you listen to podcasts at Rad Dads Podcast. So here we go. It's time to introduce our rad dad of the day. So let's get into it. Yep. And actually, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I usually go right in my scouting report. So if you've listened to Rad Dads, that's where I do my research and tell a little bit about the Rad Dad first. But I want to give every opportunity for him to just share. But I will say the way that we actually met was he reached out to me through Instagram, through my page. And I first thought, like, who is this guy, you know? And I saw Octodad, and so I'm checking him out, and it didn't hit me right away, the fact that Octodad meant that he has 8 kids, and he's got 8 kids. He lives in New Zealand, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to pass it off to Marty Richards. So Marty Richards, welcome to the show. And this is actually the season finale. So Marty, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the Richards?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name's Marty Richards. I'm down here in New Zealand, down under, next to Australia, and I'm married to the beautiful Jules. So me and Jules, we have 8 kids, and I have one wife, Jules, and yes, we do have a TV, and no, we're not having any more kids, and we love God, and we live on a beautiful dairy farm in the North Island of New Zealand between 2 cities called Rotorua and Hamilton. And we milk cows, so we milk dairy cows. And I'm pretty sure just this month our butter is going to America for the first time in history.
All right.
So look out on your high-end supermarket shelves for New Zealand butter.
Okay.
And,
what's the brand called?
It'll be called Anchor butter. Anchor like a ship's anchor.
Okay.
Yeah, Anchor butter, New Zealand. And it's pasture-fed. It's like top shelf butter.
Top shelf, okay.
So that's enough. So we have 8 kids, and 2 have left home. One is at med school at university becoming a doctor. So that's the oldest one. And then the second oldest one is just gone to Kona, Hawaii to do her DTS with YWAM, Youth with a Mission.
Yeah, awesome.
So she is there. And now we only have 6 kids at home. But don't worry, we're getting another kid. We're getting an exchange student on Thursday. So we're back up to 7
No
again.
way. No way. Yeah, you got to catch back up.
Yeah, so but only for 2 weeks. She's from Japan, and she's going in the oldest girl's room. So yeah, we have a busy life, but it's fun and joyful. And we have a lot of girls. We have 6 girls and only 2 boys. So
6 girls, 2 boys. Wow.
So there's a lot of estrogen and female stuff in the house. Yeah, it's a pretty female dominated house. And me and the boys, we're quite happy to go on the farm, go mountain biking, go to the rugby club, do some get out of a perfume-filled house.
Yeah. I was telling my daughter about you, and she was like, "How many daughters and how many sons do you have?" And I wasn't quite sure. So she'll be really stoked that the girls are winning. We're always talking about the girls or the boys are winning.
Yeah, we have a lot of girls. Yeah.
There you go. Nice. Well, I think you know that I reached out to your wife, Julie, but you don't know why. And so I asked her if she could describe you in 3 words, Marty, and here they are. Her first word was people, party, and passionate. In other words, he loves people, loves to party all the time, is passionate about lots of things, especially God, his family, and mountain biking. Does that feel pretty accurate?
Yeah, the 3 Ps.
3 Ps. You've talked about that before. There you go. She also mentioned that you just love your family loads. Biggest supporter from reading the younger kids' books, doing their homework with them, watching their sport, taking them boating, doing youth group runs, everything in between. He's our farmer, gardener, taxi driver, housekeeper, babysitter, handyman, and teacher. But the only thing you don't do is cook.
Yeah, I cook. Right? I barbecue, and I can do, like when Julie was having her babies, I did a lot of like hot dogs and like heat and eat sort of meals. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's good because now my girls can all cook, so it's turned into a blessing. Yeah.
There you go.
All
nice.
My kids can cook. All my kids can cook, not just the girls. Yeah.
Right. Cool. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more just about kind of where you live. You said you guys live on a dairy farm.
All right.
You said you have 300 acres. Is that right?
Yeah, no, we have 300 cows, but we have 265
Okay.
acres. Yeah, just under 300 acres. And yeah, so we're running a dairy farm, and there's myself and a herd manager or another worker. So there's two of us for the 300 cows, and it's actually my wife's parents' farm,
Ah,
and before him it was my wife's grandfather's farm. Yeah, so I think my kids will be the fifth generation on this farm, and yeah, so we milk the cows twice a day, um, and we are quite busy on the farm, but we live on the farm, so we have beautiful houses on the farm. And Julie's parents, my children's grandparents, also live on the farm, but
oh, cool.
they travel around the world a lot. They are speaking at family conferences and Christian events around the world. So it's quite nice. They go away, they go to Brazil, bring back like a suitcase of Havianas, or go to Germany and bring back
Right.
some cool German products, some chocolate and some cuckoo clocks.
Cool.
And they go to Fiji and get the good coconut oil in the Fiji water. So it's kind of
Okay.
cool having the grandparents around, but not too much. Yeah.
Sure. 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 And I don't know if you knew this, and my goal is to connect you guys, but you're actually my second Kiwi that I've interviewed.
Oh
One of my
wow.
best friends, Joshua Buckley, lives out there, and so
Oh
we're gonna have
bro.
to connect you. He
No,
lives
no,
close.
bro. I already know Josh.
No, you're kidding me.
From Camp Raglan and Christian Surfers. Yeah, because
Oh my gosh.
I'm a once a year surfer. When I go on, our farm is quite far from the ocean, but I make sure once a year we go to my home beach up north. Yeah,
Okay.
and Josh Buckley's family grew up a lot around Raglan, which is another amazing surf spot. Yeah, and our kids work in with one of their ministries as well. Yeah, called
How funny.
yeah,
That's wild.
There's only 5 million people in New Zealand, and I think there's like I don't know 500,000 Christians. So there's a pretty good
Gotcha.
chance. I definitely know Josh. Yeah.
No way. That's awesome. Good. Well, he's on the new dad's advice episode,
Oh
so you have to
yes.
check that out. So why don't you tell us? You said a little bit. Obviously you're busy at working with the cows, but tell us a little bit of just a day in the life of the Richards
Oh
and
yes.
what that looks like with
Yeah.
8 kids.
So, bro, I get up pretty early before the kids and have my coffee and my quiet time, a bit of waiting on God and a bit of Bible study and worship, and then Jules wakes up at about and then we have a bit of a chat, and then the kids start waking up. I go off to milk the cows at about 6 a.m. in the morning, and the bus comes for the children at 7:20, so they got to be up and at 'em real early to catch a school bus. So I milk the cows. They go off to their schools in Matamata. So our local town is called Matamata, and it's where Lord of the Rings comes from.
Awesome.
There's a place called Hobbiton that you might be aware of.
I'm a big fan. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Bro, Hobbiton is about 5 farms away from us, and
Okay.
we know the family really well that runs it, and they're a big employer in our town. They
Oh, no
sponsor
way.
they sponsor the rugby teams and even some professional rugby teams. They sponsor them as well. It's a big deal.
All
Yeah.
right.
So anyway, so I milk the cows. The kids go to school. I come back for morning tea. Have a nice one. You're asking me about one-on-one time with Jules, and that's my wife Julie. That's our time when the kids are in
Okay.
school. We usually have morning tea and lunch together. And so I work during the morning. In the afternoon, most of the jobs are done. I can do a bit of ministry stuff, or chilling out, or going mountain biking, a bit of self-care stuff. And then in the afternoons, I milk the cows again. So we're milking about in the afternoons it takes 1 hour, and in the mornings it takes 2 hours. And then the children come home from school at about 4 p.m. And so usually I'm milking then. And then we have dinner together at 5:30. And my wife's pretty big on exercise, so we all go off for a walk together or mountain biking around. So our farm is quite steep. I've built mountain bike tracks over about 1/4 of it, so we can ride around our
Okay.
farm. And we're also on the edge of quite a nice river trail system, so we can ride on the Waikato trail system off the back of our property. So
Cool.
we get outside quite a lot, and then at night we're just chilling around doing homework, hanging out with the kids, doing after school activities. We do rugby, swimming, athletics, and what else do we do? Netball and youth group. Yeah, so it's
And
pretty much
boating
something.
too, right? You said
But
you go boating also.
oh yes, yes. So we live next to Lake Karapiro, which is a big hydro dam, and it's quite famous for wakeboarding and rowing and kayaking. Yeah, so we
Okay.
have some champion rowing teams and kayakers and uh, wakeboarders and water skiers coming from our sort of community.
Okay.
So yeah, sometimes we're at the lake probably like once a week in the summertime, and then not much in the winter.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool. 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 So I mean, we're all thinking this as a dad of 8 kids. How do you make time for each one of them? And
Oh,
is that a struggle? Is that easy? Like, do you have a system that works between you and your wife?
it's
And as well as with just the rest of the things you're doing
yeah,
with
yeah.
milking cows. So how do you juggle it all?
So, bro, I'll give you some parenting advice. This is from a famous rugby player in New Zealand. He's no longer with us. He's gone to glory now. But his name is
Mm,
Vaenga Tuigamala. He's like a big Tongan rugby player from the 90s, and his parenting advice is that kids spell love Time. So
mm,
you have to spend a lot of time with the kids. They don't care that much about money or stuff or
sure.
going to Disneyland. They just want your time. And so I try and give each kid like an hour of one-on-one time each week. And
Cool.
it's pretty hard with 8. You have to be careful. Sometimes it might just be driving in the car somewhere to a sports game, or going mountain
Yep.
biking, going for a walk, or even just working together. Once our kids are 13, I start paying them to work on the farm,
Okay.
and they get 20 bucks an hour for milking the cows or doing some other jobs, helping feeding the baby calves. So times like that, it's not real. I'm not super disciplined about it, but I try and make an effort, yeah, to have one-on-one time with the kids, and also things like putting them to bed, especially when they're young, or reading to them, or helping with their
Mm-hmm.
homework below a certain age. Yeah, and so that's how we do it. And
Definitely.
with my wife, we just go on walks and have a few meals together. And sometimes we go out for probably once a month. We'll go out for a date with no kids. Yeah.
Cool. And the
So
grandparents will watch them, I assume?
well, bro, in New Zealand, once you're 14, you can look
Oh,
after.
right.
You can babysit. So
There you go.
we've had, I don't know, 5 or 6 years of having a 14-year-old, and our oldest, when she was 14, she was like the maturity of a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
So we started her babysitting when she was about 12. It was sweet as, yeah. But
Right. Right.
but
Right.
but there was a lot of babies, so there wasn't that much date nights happening for 8 or
Yeah.
9 years there. Yeah.
Sure. You've made it to that point of your family, of your marriage, where you got a little help from the older ones.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
fantastic. Cool. Well, I didn't ask you was how did you come by Rad Dads? How did you find out about it? Rad
Uh,
Dads
I
podcast.
was looking, for some podcasts about parenting or dads,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a mountain biking friend called the Rad Dad MTB, and he
Okay.
is in Utah somewhere. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, oh, there's Rad Dads with a Z. Oh, what's that about? So anyway, I
Ah,
was just
no way.
sort of having a look around for some Rad Dad podcasts, and then I heard
Sure.
the one with Officer Dan, or Officer who
Officer
was
Reed, yep.
Officer Reed, yeah. And I was like, whoa, that guy's amazing. And then
Yep.
I was like giving you some encouragement and stuff, and then you're like, oh, how's it going? And I've done a few other little live stream videos with my
Sure.
mountain biking friends from America. So quite like the idea of uh, finding people that have similar interests to you and joining in with their community. Yeah, and,
Totally.
and
Yeah.
it's quite cool now with all the modern technology. You don't have to be in the same place to join in or hop in with a community that's like real niche. Yeah, I really
Mm-hmm.
like that. Yeah.
No, totally. It's amazing how technology has allowed that these
Mm,
days.
yeah,
I don't
it's
think I
not all
even
bad.
mentioned just those who are listening and right now. So right now for Marty, it is 6:20 p.m. and for 6:20 p.m. Tuesday,
Yeah,
and then for me it is 9:20 p.m. Monday. So that's always just so trippy to me that it's
yeah,
already the next day in New
yeah,
Zealand.
yeah, yeah.
But pretty
Hey,
cool.
bro, I'm so happy at the moment because we've just had our third day of rain, and we've just come out of the summer dry time. So all the
Oh,
farmers
really?
in New Zealand are like super blessed at the moment with early summer rains. Yeah, so it's
Fantastic.
a bit of a farming thing, but pretty happy to have all this
Totally.
rain blessing us and making the grass grow and the cows happy.
Right. For sure. Cool. Um, so for Rad Dads, I mentioned like we're about, interviewing dads that love their families and big love for Jesus. So what does that look like? Raising 8 kids in the Lord. Right? I'm raising two, trying to raise them in the Lord to love Jesus and love people. What does that look like for you guys raising 8 kids in the Lord and teaching them to follow Him?
Yeah. So what that looks like us like leading by example and not just being Sunday Christians, like praying each day, um, thanking the Lord, thanking God for our meals, leaving the Bibles open, doing Bible stories and Bible readings with the kids. But the main thing that involves for us that we love doing is having our kids join us in ministry. So, in in 2006, Jules and I've been working for 6 years, and I did a YWAM family discipleship training school in Matamata, New Zealand. And one of the weeks there was hearing God's voice and God's purpose for your life. And I remember he gave me a very strong purpose or a strong word for my life. He we were doing like a time alone of God with God day, and you had to like go somewhere with no phones and just wait on the Lord with a Bible and empty notebook and a pen. And he told me to uh, go back to the farm, build up a powerful tribe, and be a light in your community. And I got a real strong sense of purpose and direction from that. And that's basically what we've done since 2006. We only had 3 children then, but we were ready to go anywhere in the world. I was thinking about going to Africa and doing some sort of Christian farming thing there. But no,
Mhm.
he's like, no, go back to the farm, build up a powerful tribe, and be a light in your community. And that's been such a blessing knowing that purpose as a young dad. Yeah, and
Sure.
focusing on your own relationship with God, and then focusing on your family and not worrying about too much other stuff. Yeah, and then but we also some of the ministries we're involved in through our local church is Sunday school. We run a program called Jam Jesus and Me. You can steal that for your Sunday school if you want.
All
Jam
right.
Jam Jam Sunday School program, and so we run that at our church. Our church is a small rural church in a small town of about 1,000 people, and we are multi-denominational. All the churches in the small town just got together and made one medium-sized church instead of having 4 tiny churches. Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
so it's multi-denominational. It's called the Tito Community Church, and so we do the Sunday School Jam program there. So that's one thing that we do, and so the kids help us with that. The older kids sort of become leaders. Another thing we do that we love doing, just Jules and I, we do quite a lot of ministry together. This thing is called Bible in Schools, and it's amazing ministry. We get to go into public schools and do a 30-minute Bible program every week in public schools for primary age kids. That's 5 to 12-year-olds. So we do that, and on a Friday, Jules and I would be doing about 130 kids just by ourselves
Wow.
in large groups. So we go into a school, do a 30-minute program. They give us a hall, a projector, and a PA system, and man, we're preaching the gospel to a lot of kids, and it's sort of
Mm,
Christian values, but it's pretty hard out what we can do. We can pray, we can do Bible stories, games, songs, and the kids come in and they love it. Yes, so that's another thing that we do.
hmm.
So what's that? Jam, Bible in schools, and another thing we do that I've just started during COVID is something called Dirt Church,
Yep.
and it's a mountain biking church. So when COVID came to New Zealand, there was all these rules, but you're allowed to go do some essential work. You're allowed to go surfing at your local beach or mountain biking. Those are the three things, but you weren't allowed
Those are
to.
the three specific things.
Yeah. Well, as a sort of an example, but you weren't allowed
Yeah.
to meet in a church with
Sure.
more than 50 people unless you're vaccinated. And in the Christian churches, that caused lots of drama because like half the
Yep.
people are vaccinated, half the people are not vaccinated. So anyway, but
Yep.
we found a loophole, and the loophole was mountain biking. So with mountain biking, you could ride at your local trail area. It's outside, so we could have quite a lot of people at my mountain biking church during pretty much the whole of COVID. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. So it started off as a men's church or men's ministry, but now it's just turned into anyone that wants to come. And so we do that once a week or once a fortnight, and that's been amazing. Getting a lot of people not from a church community or people that have been
Sure.
Unhappy with their church and left their church, and now they're looking for something else. And then other people that just don't even know anything about Jesus, and they're like slightly Jesus curious, so they're coming along. So it's like I call it like a barbecue seeker church. It's
Sure.
It's really on the edge of what churches are, but we ride for 1 hour. We have a barbecue, and then we have a talk. And in the talk, one of the leaders will do like a very sort of brief, kind of mental health, with a small Jesus focus, but not to freak anyone out too much. And then we pray at the beginning and at the end, and it's really good. And so that's been going for 3 or 4 years and been amazing. And that's called Dirt Church NZ. If you want to check that out, it's on Facebook and Instagram, Dirt Church NZ. And it's really good because you do something crazy for an hour, like mountain biking, and then you have the barbecue, right? and then you have the one-on-one conversations like we're having now. But there's something about doing something fun and crazy together, having a meal together. It's almost like a spiritual. It's almost like a communion. Yeah, and the guys and the people that come are like really enjoying that. And one of my best friends just recently came to the Lord via Dirt Church, which is amazing. And he's like a rich, single, older guy, quite a strong atheist. And he's been coming to Dirt Church for 3 years. He came down to Rotorua with us, and we had this evangelist preacher come. And he's like, yeah, man, I want to say yes to Jesus. Let's do this. And it's so exciting.
Praise God.
So exciting. Like, me and him have been friends for years, but there's always been, like, he's kind of one of the hardest, sort of hard, rich, single, older atheist dude to come to the Lord. Yeah. Because he didn't need anything. He was like successful and happy and all that.
Sure.
But he still had he still had a hole in his life that he was searching to fill, and Jesus has done that for him. So that's so exciting. So yeah, that's Dirt Church.
And I was gonna ask you, when you were when you were at the YWAM thing and God gave you that just kind of go build a tribe, was it like go build 8 kids tribe? Did you know, was that the goal?
Well, no, it was go build a powerful tribe.
Right.
So that's another thing I'm passionate about is children reaching their potential.
Sure.
But the 8 kids. But there was another talk called Have Sex and Go Fishing. Yeah. And it was about breaking off the spirit of consumerism and like having a mansion and having a big business company and doing all the commercial stuff and like just having lots of children and enjoying them. Yeah. So he didn't really, but we didn't set out to have 8 kids, but we enjoyed all the kids, and we invest a lot into them, and we are stoked when they are reaching their potential. And we also help, bro. We love kids so much. We also help other people with their kids. So we run this at-risk kids program, for example, where we take kids from our community that are like struggling, chuck them in the van with our kids and take them to a camp somewhere for a week and just like take them take them out of their bad or risky home environment and just
Sure.
take them to a beach camp somewhere or to the Keswick Convention
Hmm.
and love on them. So, and also on a few school boards and stuff, I really want to encourage kids to really learn to read very fast and learn to be
Hmm.
autonomous and just sort stuff out for themselves. Bro, with with 8 kids, you can't do all their homework. But the
Right.
thing we try and do is we read to them a lot when they're young, like good quality books that aren't boring.
Sure.
And so we're always searching for good books, and we're trying to get them to read chapter books as young as possible, so they can read for fun
Sure.
instead of us having to stand over them, tell them to do their homework and do this and do that, and then
Right.
that sort of technique of sort of encouraging them to self-learn is called autonomy, and that's
Right.
where a child autonomy is where a child or a person that you're the boss of or the parent of, could be for work or for parenting, but in the parenting sense, it's like when a child knows what your values are and they choose them because they know why and they know it's good for them, and they're encouraged to to do their best without micromanagement. Yeah, that's
Right.
really good when that happens, and then it's relatively easy from then on because the kid wants to learn, they want to succeed,
Sure.
they
They got
want
a
to be
hunger
the
for it.
best, they want to be the best that they can be. Yeah, so
Awesome.
I'm really
And I think
passionate about that. Yeah.
I think you're kind of like, so you mentioned there's a couple things that I was like, what would you want to talk about, Marty? And so one thing you mentioned was you feel like you have a gift of blessing your family, and then something called blessing night. So I don't know if that mixes with instilling purpose in your kids, but maybe you could go a little bit into that.
Yeah. So blessing night or blessing your kids is the idea of blessing night is take one night a week when the kids are quite young. So I think you can do this from the age of 2 or 3 up, as long as they can sit down and handle a family environment.
Right.
It takes about 15 minutes with a large family. It would take 5 to 10 minutes with a smaller one. So the idea with blessing night is you have one night a week. Everyone gathers around and turns their phones and devices and screens and everything off. And
Right.
then the first step is forgiveness time. So you ask everyone to look at their hearts. And in our family, there's quite a lot of fighting going on, physically and verbally,
Yeah.
within the children, within the uh, brother sister relationships and
Yeah.
stuff.
Sure.
So anyway, there's a lot of forgiveness that needs to happen. And so anyway, we ask the kids to look into their hearts and ask for forgiveness. And if no one's saying anything, I'll bring something up that I need to give
Sure.
Julie or one of the kids for forgiveness for. It's sort of a YWAM idea around intercession of praying with a pure heart is way better
Hmm.
than praying if you've got all this baggage that you need to sort out before you even start praying. Anyway, so the first step is forgiveness time. The second step is the blessing time, and in our family we go from youngest to oldest. And so Tabitha, our youngest, and so she'll go first. So she just sits next to me, and then all the other people in our family say what they love about her. So someone will say, "Oh,
Awesome.
I love how you are good at riding mountain bikes. I love how you are funny," so on and so on.
Hmm.
And so it goes around the circle. So all the kids have to say something they love about that kid, and then I do a prayer of blessing over that kid, and I include what the other kids say, and then say my own stuff on top of that, and it really loves on them, and you bless them in
Yeah.
the name of Jesus, and they get really filled up from it, and
Totally.
and then you go from the youngest to the oldest like that. And if you get some naughty ones, because they'll fart and try and poke each other, whatever,
Totally. They're
you just
kids.
send bro. This is what you do. You just send them out, and they all want my blessing, or they want to hear good stuff about them from the other kids. So
Sure.
they go out, and it's you ready to come back in and receive the blessing? And they're like, yeah, and they come back and they settle down. So they even the older rebellious teenagers want the dad's blessing. Yeah, and and
Interesting. Yeah.
and and if the older rebellious teenagers, we give them the option of the long way or the short way, and the short way, if they're over it, will just be a blessing from myself or Jules, my wife, and the other kids won't say what they love about them. So it's just a little bit of flexibility there. We don't do
Sure.
it every week, but we do it like 3 out of 4 weeks. Yeah, and,
Wow.
and, and we usually do it on a Sunday night. And it's from this book here. It's called The Power of a Parent's Blessing, and it's just one chapter of there. It's
Cool.
from this dude Craig Hill, who is from Family Foundations International, and we use some of his stuff in YWAM Family Ministries.
Okay.
And there's a chapter in here about about blessing night. And my oldest daughter, when she was she did a YWAM trip around Norway, Romania, and Turkey. And when they're on the outreach, it got a bit crazy. They did 2 months of outreach after their DTS, and she used the blessing night when she was running the outreach for her 2 weeks to like
Wow.
be a form of forgiveness. She's like, "Oh, this is what we do in our family. I think it'll work quite well here." So they all did forgiveness, and then they did what they liked about each other, loved about each other.
Right.
And then the leader did like the dad or the mum was blessing on the other on that kid, and she actually took it and did it when it was her turn to run the outreach for 2 weeks. Yeah, as an 18-year-old
Awesome.
with these kids. So it's kind of cool to be to bless your family formally. I think as dads, we need a bit of direction in that area. So I think blessing night is a really cool tool to do it, because I think a lot of dads don't do enough of spiritual leadership. They're kind of leaving it to the mums because they're
Sure.
trying to like do their job and make some money and trying to hold it all together. But I think it's good to take some time, and we do it on the Sunday night before the school week starts. It's just a
Good
time
time to
where
start.
everyone's at home chilling out. You obviously want to do it when everyone's there at the same time. Yeah,
Right. Okay. That's awesome. I love that.
yeah,
We've done a tiny bit about that of that before, but I love that you guys do it weekly and like
yeah,
what a gift, or that's the goal at least, and what a gift that is, especially on a Sunday night. You're about to
yeah,
start school.
yeah,
You kind of, school is you got all the emotions, all the things that are
yeah.
happening,
All
but
the dramas.
you're
Yeah,
starting on a high
yeah,
of these are the things that my
yeah,
family says that I am, and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
powerful. So powerful.
yeah, yeah. It's good. I recommend it. So yeah, it's called The Power of a Parent's Blessing. And
Yep.
I think
Let's check that
dads should
out.
read it. And if, bro, if you're a grandfather and your kid's having a baby or you're having your first baby, it's a good book to give to someone.
Hmm.
Because it's better to have it when you're young rather than when all your kids growing up, because it's probably
Sure.
too late to bless. There is other chapters. There's like, anyway, there's a whole lot of stuff in there, but that's the one that we've taken and run with
Sure.
the most. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then you mentioned maybe sharing a little bit about I think you were saying instilling purpose into your kids and kind of how you go about doing that.
Yeah, it comes back to so we like as a parent, Jules and I really want our kids to reach their potential and be the best that they can be. And like say if one of your kids wants to be like a hairdresser or a beautician or a tattoo artist, like slightly sort of crazy jobs, we'd be like, "Oh, that's really good. Why don't you go to management school or do something after you leave school so that you can be like the best tattoo artist or hairdresser that you can
Yeah.
be?" Or like if one of them wanted to be like a rubbish truck driver, it'll be like, "Oh, why don't you go to engineering school or something like that so that they can be the owner or the inventor of a new rubbish company or something,"
Sure.
to sort of like encourage them and push them a little bit. And uh, pushing is not the right word, but just encouraging them to do their best.
Empowering them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think yeah, just getting them like early on to learn as much as they can so that they can self learn. And I think it's good to have, for kids at high school level from like 13 up, they start choosing stuff for themselves. Like it's really good for them to know what they love doing and what they're good at, and just
Sure.
to go in that direction. And I think so. One of the things we do, bro, is so our eldest daughter is very intelligent, and she's like a top academic student. And she was thinking about going to med school, very bright, but but encouraging all our kids to go and do a gap year before they go to university or before they go into their tertiary education after the end of high school, so that they can do a YWAM DTS or some other sort of Bible school where they learn a lot, mature for 1 year, and like hopefully part of that school will impress God's direction and purpose on their life. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then when they go to university, they'll be sort of 1 year older, 1 year more mature, and 1 year, well, a lot of years more mature in their faith and in their direction. Because I see a
Right.
lot of kids not knowing what they want to do at high school, not knowing what they want to do at university,
100%.
quitting university, or quitting their job after 6 months because they chose the
Right.
wrong job, and just like taking a long time. I think I'm a bit worried about churches not helping kids or people enough and at that discipling level. And there's something as churches we need to work on, is
Sure.
discipling and helping people with their purpose. Like, we're quite good at the spiritual gifts and tithing and working together in the community and stuff, but I think we could do some more work on purpose or direction, for
Sure.
people. Um, but that's scary for churches because it means you could lose your people to
Sure.
to another country or another church or another town. So it's kind of scary for them, but it's what people need. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really recommend, not before your kids go to their first job, whatever that is, to give them a gap year time and something like YWAM or Cape and Ray or whatever.
Sure.
And I think it's good to do it in another country as well, not in your hometown, not in your home country, to
Hmm.
give them some sort of international perspective and
Right.
hopefully a third world perspective as well. So, yeah, I think our second daughter is in Kona, Hawaii, and I think she is going to Norway, but the very north of Norway to the First Nations reindeer herders. So,
Wow.
so she's going right up the top. And then some of her friends are going to Africa or the Philippines and stuff. So I think it's quite good for
Sure.
18 or 19-year-old kids to do that sort of thing before they start their building career or their
Right.
truck driving career or PE teaching or whatever they're going to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
ministry.
My sister went to Cape and Ray
Yeah,
and had a great experience there. And I know
yeah,
I'm with you. I think that however long of time of trip it is, I think it's good to, you got to get a change of pace, a change of scenario first before you
yeah,
go right into schooling that unfortunately a lot of people don't. They're
yeah,
kind of just start taking classes and they don't really
yeah,
know what they want to do
yeah,
while they're going, paying money.
yeah. Or even for the kids that are becoming builders or mechanics or engineers, where they're doing like an apprenticeship model, like once they get on that wheel, they've got to keep doing it for a long time. So you might as well do the Cape and Ray or the YWAM school
Right.
before you
For sure.
start, so that you pick the right one. Because there's plenty of, especially for men, there's plenty of time in life to work your way through through the
Sure.
system of whatever career you're going to get into. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not a rush
No.
for sure. Maybe you could share next, Marty, just a little bit more of kind of maybe some more of your family rhythms, or kind of what are some of your kind of top values or traditions that you, as you and your family like to do and kind of prioritize during the week?
Yeah. So we have our normal school week, Monday to Friday. And then on Friday night, we usually have like a barbecue party and nothing planned for that night. And usually there's a few assemblies or whatever. So often we'll like celebrate if someone's done really good project or got an award or a certificate. We'll do that on
Cool.
on Friday night. So like a party night, and
Fun.
so that's something we do. Another thing we do when we're going, like, we live on a farm. We are like 5 minutes from our church or 15 minutes from our nearest large town. So a lot of our time we're driving somewhere to do something, and often we'll in the car as a family we'll pray on the way to something. So if we're going to church, we'll pray on the way to church. If we're going to Bible and schools, we're already praying um, on our driveway before we even hit the highway. So I think that's a good thing to do if
Sure.
you're a ministry as a family or as a couple, to pray together. And even going to dirt church with like a load of kids, I'll just pray with whoever I'm with, whether they're Christians or not, just to set that sort of scene in prayer when you're driving, and that sort of flips the switch from getting off the farm and getting into ministry. So
Sure.
so just short little prayer times, including other people, not just by yourself, is quite important to us. So Friday night, Saturday is usually sports day or recreation day, and then Sunday is church. And bro, all through this, I'm still working on the farm. So in my farm, in my cow shed, I've got a big Clarion stereo system that I've
Okay.
made into a 12 volt and some big speakers, and I'm pumping out the worship while we're working. So
Nice.
me and my Fijian workmates, he's a Christian as well. He's done his whole YWAM thing and been baptized, so he doesn't mind. Some
Sure.
of the other staff we've had sort of learn to like it,
Yeah.
that are not Christian, but
You
it's
might
quite
not have a
good.
choice.
Yeah, it's quite good to worship while you work. And milking cows is quite a monotonous job. You're like,
Sure.
we're going hard. We're milking 300 cows in 1 or 2
Right.
hours with 2 people. We're moving, and then you've got to like clean all the pipes and clean everything afterwards, hose down. So it's good to have worship music on those sort of monotonous jobs. And sometimes I find I do my best thinking, because I'm a visionary leader. I do my best thinking when I'm worshiping, putting the cups on, getting pooed on, like
Yep.
sweating it out. Like sometimes those are the best times we hear from God, or He'll
Sure.
give you like a big crazy idea to take to the next meeting to try and get
Right.
everyone to do your crazy idea at. So worshiping in the monotonous times is quite a good one.
Right.
And then when you're by yourself, just like having your phone off and just going for it. And I think another thing I like to do is make a list of jobs to do each day, and then tick them off in a diary. So because on the farm I can't muck around, because if I work too slowly,
Right.
then I just lose my spare time, and I've got to catch the work up, because it's a family business. I've got to do the work, because you have to. You can't just sit around and do nothing. That's for sure on a farm.
Yeah. Yeah. You're a busy
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. So I make little lists, and another thing I think is quite good is to delegate and ask for help. Like at Dirt Church, we have like 6 or 7 leaders, and if I can't make
Sure.
it, I know they're going to do a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I really like a flat leadership. Like God, God is the boss.
Right.
Jesus, we're talking to Jesus, and then the Holy Spirit's giving us the ideas and the power and the strength. But I really like flat leadership
The
teams,
rest of us
not
are
not
same
not
level.
um not real steep ones. Yeah. So I quite like that as a leadership technique, like being really inclusive, having the wives and the board meetings, things like that, where you're working together in unity,
Cool.
rather than trying to be a lone wolf leader or a dictator leader. Yeah, I don't really
Sure.
like that. But those are some of my
Cool.
tips. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
totally.
it looks like. It's busy, but it's fun. And I
Yeah.
think having another thing is having a couple of weeks in the year where you just do nothing. So after our Rotorua Keswick Convention event, we take like 10 days. We just go camping and just do nothing. No ministry, no milking the
Mm.
cows, just like really chill out. And then when is it? After Easter, or just after the Easter holidays, we're going over to Australia, to the Gold Coast, just to chill out at Surfers
Cool.
Paradise and go surfing and fishing and shopping. So having a few
Awesome.
things like that for your family to look forward to, like, I think it could be quite easy to burn out and just do too much. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that similar note of just mentioning, kind of like helpful, just kind of pieces of dad advice, you mentioned like getting that time throughout the year to get away. Would you have any other kind of maybe 2 or 3 pieces of advice specific to just moms or dads just trying to be the best that they can and follow after Christ?
Yeah. I think trying to get up early before your kids if you can, and it's easier when they're older, to get up early and wait on God and just soak in some worship, soak in some of the
Sure.
scriptures, soak in the words is quite good. And if you can't do that, it's okay. It's not, you don't have to do it every day, but that's good. And I think talking and just having a one-on-one time is good. Um, in the school holidays, it's hard because the kids don't go to school. But so in the school, when school's not in, Jules and I will just do a walk by ourselves with no kids each night. So having that
Cool.
one-on-one time is important. And I think as far as parenting goes, yeah, having like a routine is quite important. Like kids or children really love structure and routine.
Sure.
So we try and have our meals every night at the same time, and the breakfast has to be at the same time because the bus is coming at 7:20,
Right. Yep.
and lunch is always at high noon. So yeah, we quite like having structure in a big family is important.
Yeah, you
Or
gotta have it.
yeah, or I think in any family, and I think that's why the at-risk kids love the camp so much because dinner is always at 5:30, and lunch is
Sure.
always at 12:30, and breakfast is always at 8. Like just getting that structure and is important. I think also having your house as a place of fun and love, and not too many, like some boundaries, but not loads and loads of rules. Like you want your
Hmm.
house to be a place where your kids want to bring their friends to, not hate to bring their friends to. Like you
Sure.
want to make it fun. So in our house, there's a lot of people living here, but we've made an outdoor lounge. And in front of our house, we've got dirt jumps for the mountain bikes,
Right.
and I've got a bit of a man cave tucked away for my friends to come around and play pool and table tennis and stuff. And then yeah, so trying to make fun things for
Yeah.
your family, but for the neighborhood kids as well.
Sure.
I quite like sharing our family or our space with other people. Yeah,
Totally. I was talking, I can't remember who I was talking to, but just making, on a similar note, making your place the place where all the kids hang out,
yeah,
and that gives you guys some control of
yeah,
like the
yeah,
values that you instill, even
yeah,
with their friends, like you
yeah,
kind of having that,
yeah,
owning that, like we're going to be
yeah,
the spot that all the kids come and hang out at.
yeah, yeah. And some device and phone advice. So we've been struggling with this. Our oldest two kids were pretty good with their phones, but over the summer holidays, because we're in summertime, over the Christmas, summer, New Year's Eve holidays, we've really had to put some boundaries around that. And the one that's working the best at the moment is only 2 hours a day on any device, including
Hmm.
including mum and dad. And if they go over 2 hours, that's it. You take the device away from them, and they don't get it for the next day because they've
Sure.
gone over the limit. And not having their phones or TVs in their bedrooms, or
Yep.
not having them in their bedrooms, not having them overnight, and not going over that 2 hour rule. And it's really exciting. In New Zealand, we have a new prime minister, and he's banned mobile devices from all schools. So they're not allowed to take them
Wow.
in their school. Bro, last year it was crazy. There's just kids like walking around with their phones at lunchtime, not talking to each other.
Sure.
They have their little earbuds in, not communicating, and the schools were even making apps to go on their phones to help the kids figure out where their next class is and stuff. So they've scrapped all
Sure.
of
Yeah.
that, and now no phones allowed at school. If you're seen with a phone, the principal or the teacher can take it off, and it goes straight to the office, and the mum and dad have to pick it up, not the
Right.
kid. But I really love what they've done with that rule. But at home, we have to be the bosses
Sure.
of our
Right.
kids, and especially for the boys and some of the younger girls, it's just so addictive, and we have to model good screen time ourselves.
Sure. Yep.
And
Yep.
so I think it's quite good with ministry parents or working parents to leave all your annoying emails and all that stuff to after the kids have gone to bed, so they're not watching you
Right.
do it at the dinner
Yeah.
table or in the lounge or whatever, or lying on the
Yep.
bed is the worst thing. Yeah. So I think it's good to set boundaries around whatever you're dealing with. Yeah, but definitely the screen time, because
Yep.
you want to create autonomy. You want to give them good rules so that when they leave home, they're not like on their device for 12 hours a
Right.
day. So they've learnt it, and you tell them why. They can't understand it to begin with, but then hopefully they'll understand it, so that when they leave home,
They'll own that rule.
they're not fully addicted to
Right.
screen or whatever.
Yeah, that's the challenge for all of us, is leading by example, including our phones, our
Yes,
time with the Lord,
yes.
how we interact with people,
The
like
music we
making
listen
sure.
to, yeah.
Yeah,
How we
yeah,
drive or how we do sports,
yeah,
yeah.
right. For sure, for sure. Awesome. Man, this time's already gone by so fast. Well, hey, Marty, I just want to say thank you for getting the chance to interview you and taking the time just to hear a little bit more of your experience raising kids out in New Zealand. I was also going to mention that man, I hope I can come someday to New Zealand, visit you guys, because
Oh
I
yeah.
love mountain biking. My
Oh,
father-in-law loves mountain biking. So maybe down the road we'll all hang out with
bro,
Josh Buckley.
Buckley, yeah. If it's the same Josh Buckley, there could
Yeah,
be that.
we can have them meet together too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man, I'd love to host you guys. We have a little sort of mountain bike Airbnb that I'm starting up, and we're only
Love
about
it.
45 minutes from Rotorua, which is
Cool.
like some of the best loam trails in the world. So we'd love to
Awesome.
have you guys come down.
For
Yeah.
sure. Well, would you mind just praying for any just listeners tonight, dads, parents, whoever's tuning in, and
Yeah.
we'll
All right.
call it a night.
All right. Let's pray. All right. Thank you, God, for this awesome conversation, and thank you for parents and the role of parents that you've given us, whatever that might look like. And just help us to bless our kids and have fun with them and encourage them, and help us to be really good examples of what we do in life, how we live life, our relationship with you, and our relationship with our spouses or our other family members. And just ask that you bless all the parents out there that are listening to this. Help them to know you and reflect your love onto their children. And yeah, help us in the tough times when we're busy and tired and exhausted to know to go to you and not to try and do everything under our own strength. In Jesus' name, can I get amen?
Amen.
Amen.
That's right.